The deepest illusion in the mind may not be fear or anger or jealousy. It may be the belief that somewhere inside you there is a separate person watching it all happen. A judge, a controller, a voice that says, I should not feel this. But who is that voice? And is it truly separate from the feeling it is trying to control? The argument is over. The door closes. The room becomes quiet. But inside you, the argument continues. Your face is tense. Your breathing is shallow. The words you said keep returning. Then another voice appears. I should not have done that. I must control my anger. I need to become a better person. Suddenly, there seem to be two of you, the one who became angry and the one who is now watching the anger. One is the problem. The other believes it can solve the problem. But look carefully. Who is the one saying, I must control myself? Where did that voice come from? Is it truly outside the anger? Or is it another movement of the same mind? The anger appeared because something was touched. A memory, an expectation, an image of yourself. Perhaps someone spoke to you in a way you believed you should never be spoken to. And immediately, the mind remembered who you are. I am respected. I am reasonable. I am not someone who can be treated like this. The words wounded that image. Anger appeared. Then another image stepped forward. The image of someone calm, mature, in control. And that image said, I must not be angry. One image was wounded. Another image tried to repair it. So who is observing whom? Perhaps the observer is not a quiet presence standing outside the storm. Perhaps the observer is the storm, speaking in a different voice. Normally, we do not question this division. We say, I am angry. And then, I must overcome my anger. The sentence appears natural. But hidden inside it is an assumption that I and anger are two separate things. One will control the other. One will improve the other. One will eventually become free of the other. But what is this I? Is it not made from memory? From experience? From what you have been taught? From the image of who you believe you should be? And was the anger not also shaped by memory, experience, and conditioning? The controller and the controlled come from the same movement. Thought divides itself, then begins to fight itself. One part says, I must change. Another part resists. One part says, I must forgive. Another part remembers. One part says, I must let go. Another part continues to hold on. Then the mind asks, why am I still in conflict? But the conflict began. The moment thought divided itself into two, the observer and the observed. Who is the observer? Do not answer too quickly. Any answer may become another conclusion, another piece of knowledge, another voice saying, I understand. But understanding the words is not the same as seeing the fact. The fact must be seen while the movement is happening. In the moment anger rises, in the moment the observer appears and begins to condemn it. Can you see both movements without choosing between them? Without saying one is good and the other is bad? Without trying to become a different person? There was a man who returned to this question throughout his life. His name was Krishnamurti. But the name is not important. The discovery is. The observer is the observed. The person judging anger is not entirely separate from anger. The thinker is not outside thought. The one who says, I must become different, is itself shaped by what has already been. At first, this may sound abstract, but observation begins with something very simple. Not interpretation, not analysis, not asking why, just seeing what is happening. There is tension in the body. There is heat. There is an image. There is a memory. There is an impulse to speak. Then thought says, this is anger. A second thought appears. Anger is wrong. Then another. I must control it. In only a few seconds, the original feeling has become a conflict. Not only anger, but resistance to anger. Not only pain, but judgment of pain. Not only fear, but fear of fear. The second example begins in a quieter room. You are waiting for news. The message has not arrived. Outside, the day continues. A car passes. Someone closes a gate. Light moves slowly across the wall. But inside, the mind is already living tomorrow. It creates an image. Then another. A voice on the phone. A sentence you do not want to hear. A life divided into before and after. The body responds to something that has not happened. The chest tightens. The breath becomes shallow. Then the observer appears. I must stop thinking about this. I should remain calm. I must not be afraid. But look again. Why does the observer want fear to end? Because it is afraid of uncertainty, afraid of losing control, afraid of what may happen. The one trying to control fear is itself made from fear. When this is seen clearly, something changes. Not because fear disappears, not because you have found a method to control it, but because the division begins to lose its meaning. There is no longer a separate person standing outside fear, trying to defeat it. There is only the movement itself, the sensation, the image, the thought of tomorrow, the desire to escape. Can that movement be watched without naming it? Without calling it my fear? Without saying it should not exist? Not coldly, not from a distance, but with complete attention. Observation without an observer does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean allowing anger to become violence. It does not mean allowing fear to make every decision. It means seeing the movement before thought divides it, before judgment begins, before the image of who you should be takes control. In that attention, there is no controller, and therefore, no struggle between what is happening and what should be happening. Perhaps we rarely experience a feeling directly. We experience the word, the story, the memory, the resistance, the conclusion. I know what this is. But the moment the mind says, I know, is it still observing? Or is it looking through what happened before? In the previous lesson, we saw how an image can stand between two people. But there is another image, even closer. The image you have created of yourself. I am strong. I am calm. I am damaged. I am anxious. I am someone who never loses control. Then life contradicts that image. Anger appears. Fear appears. And something inside you begins to collapse. Perhaps what hurts is not only the emotion, perhaps it is watching. The person you believed you were disappear. This is why true observation can feel dangerous. It does not protect the image. It does not promise to turn you into a better version of yourself. It may reveal that the one trying to improve is itself an image. You want to become peaceful, fearless, more loving. But who wants to become those things? Is it intelligence, or is it the old self, searching for a more beautiful identity? So the next time a strong feeling appears, do not immediately ask, How do I control this? Do not immediately say, I should not feel this. Pause. Watch the body. Watch the image. Watch the thought. That names the feeling. Then watch the voice. That judges it. Can you see that all of it belongs to one movement? Do not try to reach a state without an observer. The one trying to reach that state would simply become another observer. Do not turn this into a method. Do not practice becoming silent. Just notice when the division begins, the feeling, the naming, the judgment, the desire to escape, the one who says, I must change. See the whole movement as one. Perhaps, in complete observation, there is no center from which you are watching. There is no judge, no controller, no person standing apart and saying, this should not be happening. There is only attention. And in that attention, the old conflict has nowhere to continue. Perhaps, all your life, you have been trying to change yourself without ever asking who was trying to do the changing. Stay with that